Welcome everyone to the Boss Key podcast. I am your co-host McQuack306, joined as always with Jebby G. How you doing, man?
Hey, McQuack, Big Josh. I'm doing good today, man. Yes, this is Jebby G on almost every single platform, which would be PSN or Xbox or Steam for any PC players as well. I'm doing really great this morning. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm really good. I'm really hyped today. For those viewers that don't may not know, who didn't see the Twitter post, we're gonna be posting 3 episodes. So today it's gonna be us recording 3 episodes nonstop, just for the following weeks because it's Christmas weekend and then it's New Year's Eve or New Year's weekend, and so we just wanted to do all these episodes today. They're all going to be separated, so you'll still receive the episodes each week, but it's just so that we can spend time with our families, friends, what have you with that. So
Right on.
we're not gonna be having the typical what we're playing just because it's gonna be repetitive. It's all at the same time.
You
Jesse's.
guys, you guys do not want to hear us playing what we're playing 3 times in a row because it's going to be the same thing each time.
Yeah. So you guys may follow Jesse online. Seen him with his new setup. TV setup. He's still setting up
Yes.
everything. His PlayStation, I think, is next, from what I hear, or you've already set that up.
Yes. No, I did set up the PS4 already. So the first thing I set up, oh, first off, I did put in my 65-inch TV. Thank you, Lord. I am done with that. TV is set up. First thing I plugged in, of course, my Xbox right away, immediately. And then I turned it on, and then it immediately asks me, "Do you want to switch to 4K?" Yes. Switch it to 4K. Because honestly, this is my first time doing anything 4K. And then the moment it switched to 4K, oh, the visuals were so glorious. And then, of course, the first thing that I opened up Banjo-Kazooie at 4K. Let's go. Just kidding. No, I did not open Banjo-Kazooie first. I actually opened Gears of War Ultimate Edition first.
Okay,
And that was
that's
my
pretty good.
and that was my first time getting that experience. And then I opened up Gears of War 4, which was originally an Xbox One game, and I wanted to see what that one looked like. And my goodness, my main love seat couches are not there yet, the ones that are going to be in front of the TV.
Hmm.
But I cannot wait to set everything up. But man, I just play a little bit of classic games. I dabbled in my setup for a little while, but it is glorious and the sound is great and the visuals are crisper and clearer than ever. So next up, I already plugged in my PS4. I'm gonna have my Switch on there as well. So I'm gonna have a picture when everything is set up as the Ultimate Entertainment Gaming Center. So yes, I'm very excited for this coming up.
There you go,
Sweet.
man. Welcome to 4K. Welcome to 4K gaming.
Yes, how long ago did 4K game come out? Like a long
Like
time ago.
3, 4 years ago at least with the One X, but hey, perfect time right now. Everything's better if it's not just 4K, but sometimes even 4K 60 frames and
Yes. And I mean,
HDR and ray tracing on a lot of these games.
and I made sure I got the right TV to work with the 120 hertz
Oh,
because I wanted to get
perfect.
I wanted the excellent experience throughout. So right now I have like a mattress. It's one of my memory foam mattresses that I let inflate overnight. So I don't have a main living room just yet. But I'm slowly but surely moving everything forward. Um, and also still, I mean, I've had higher than HD gaming before with my computer, but not 4K. I had 1440p before, but 4K is just a whole nother mission, a whole nother level, like completely. I'm flabbergasted by how it looks. And yeah, I know 3 or 4 years late, better late than never. Better late than never.
Well, kind of going into the opposite direction of 4K gaming and 120 frames per second and HDR, ray tracing. The topic of our show today, this week, is something that we couldn't even think of at the time, which we will be talking about the great PS3 360 Wii era, where we were still trying to top 30 frames per second, and we were trying to push from 480p to whatever we could get at 1080p on those rare occurrences. But typically, I think it stayed around
Yeah.
720p
There
or
you go.
around there.
That definitely 720. That was that, and I remember this was the first time I had to have different cables instead of the usual RGB cables. You know, before you had the yellow, the white, and the red,
Hmm.
but then there was another one that came out that was multicolor. Like I forgot what the main colors were, but it was different colors to get the 720
It
experience.
was like the green, blue. I think another white
Yeah.
color. Yeah, it was. It was definitely a change. That was when we were going from the regular, like Jesse said, AV cables to either the component cables, which you saw like five different, color cables,
Yep.
and HDMI, which was completely new to us. The
Hmm.
360 and specifically 360 and PS3 were, I think the last biggest push we've seen in
Hmm.
gaming. Now we're getting 4K, which is just resolution bump, but before, it was also the polygon counts and environments, AI that was being changed on these machines, and just talking about it this week about our experiences with that generation. What did we get, and what do we enjoy? At least for me, I remember getting a Wii first. Right after high school, I had gotten all my collections from graduation money, and I was able to find a Wii. I don't know if you remember, Jesse, how hard it was to find a Wii. Even I got it in 2008. Even 2 years later, it was super rare, and I got it at the store that I don't know if many of you guys remember, Circuit City, back when it was still around.
Circuit City. Dang,
I
we're
went,
going back.
I went,
Circuit City.
yeah, and I was calling every store back then. I didn't have internet on my phone readily available, and I was like calling Circuit Cities, and
Dude.
they had them, and this guy told me, yeah, we have a tent, but we can't hold them. I told my aunt, can you take me? I have money. And she drove me across two cities just to go to this one Circuit City, and even at the end, I was down by like $30, and she was like, she coughed up the rest. She's like, mijo,
Yes. Good.
I'll get it for you.
Good. I thought you were about to be disappointed, like Mijo. Sorry, you're off by 30.
Yeah,
Womp womp. That would have sucked. No,
and that's
she
that's
didn't let
with
you.
just the system. I didn't even get a game, and she was like, "Oh, you're not gonna get a game." Well, I'm like, "Well, it comes with Wii Sports," and then she was just like, "Okay, okay, okay, like okay, that's
Did
all you're
you?
getting from me." But
It's like, stop right here. I'm not getting you no game with this.
I love the Wii. I love the Wii, and even Wii Sports was one of the best, like, you know thrown in game I could ever think of for a system.
Hmm.
And even though it wasn't graphically, powerful, and it was basically the GameCube, but um, just
It was a
on
little
the
bit better
Wii,
than the GameCube, wasn't it?
it was a little bit better. But I mean,
Mm.
essentially, I mean, it couldn't output, better graphics or anything like that. I mean, there was
Yeah.
GameCube games on the Wii, and
Yep.
it was just an amazing console experience. At least for the first 2 years, the whole Wii, Wii remote and nunchuck, it was very gimmicky, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it. Favorite titles of it were like Twilight Princess, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. I don't know if anybody remembers Mad World, but that was a gruesome black and white game
Yeah.
with
With a
red.
red pop off whenever the kills or anything happened. That set it apart. That reminded me so much of like the movie like Sin City.
Yes, it
Yeah,
has that comic, it's
yeah.
like just black and white with the red splash of blood whenever you would grind somebody through some metal, spikes. It was a really good game. And then No More Heroes was a
Yep.
weird open world.
Travis touchdown.
Yeah, it was a quirky game, but I loved it. Those were my memories with the Wii. Those were my favorite. Did you have any memories with the Wii?
I personally never owned the Wii myself, but my sister ended up getting it for her kids. They got the Wii because they wanted to play the games. That was the thing that was really popular with the Wii. Not only just Wii Sports, but it was like a party game central. Because the
Yeah,
thing about the Wii, it made games so accessible for everyone. Like it made like it was even in all the commercials. Remember the commercials for the Wii? Wii, you like to play? Like
yeah.
the commercials, and they're trying to get everyone in. They're trying to get grandmas involved, trying to get moms involved, they're getting dads involved, aunts, uncles, little baby kids, older kids. Like
Yeah.
that was the selling point of everything, and they're going around in their little car to promote the Wii. Um, but there were a lot of Wii games that came out that were fantastic as well. Um, the Mario Kart Wii was one that I liked, and of
Yeah.
course, a lot of people really did get the Wii for Brawl.
Yeah.
They did. It was the smash seller right there. And then, according from what you said, many a times, the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 is the best version. That's what people consider.
It is the best version, at least on console. When you look
Mhm.
at console, it's the best. It's the closest you can get to the PC version.
And also the game that I enjoyed from the Wii was Super Mario Galaxy. Is one of the
Oh yeah.
best 3D Mario games that was released. And Twilight Princess again. It was also the system seller because a lot of people from Wind Waker they didn't like it or they didn't like the art style, so they wanted to give them something that's more the adult Link, whatever. The reason they did because they felt if you remember that old video, they felt they were duped when they switched to a kid version of Link again,
Yeah.
but then they re-released it. And this was like yes, the gimmick because they had a GameCube version and they had the Wii version. So the Wii version obviously sold more because people want to do all the motion sense. They wanted to do all the flicking. They
Yeah.
even made they even made they even did the adjustment. They did changes to Link so the Wii version would work better for us Americans or other countries because most people are right-handed. Funny note, they switched the hand where Link holds his sword because he normally holds his sword on his left hand, but right-handed people, we're gonna hold it. We're gonna hold it on. The right hand. So they switched that. Um, but yeah, I think just going over more friends' houses and my sister's house, having the Wii was there, but I didn't have additional memories besides the ones that I just mentioned. Um, Smash Brothers, again Mario Kart Wii. Um, the Wii Virtual Console was actually something that I was really into because there was a lot of games
That I think
on the
was
Virtual
also
Console.
a really positive thing that I know the other consoles started doing that too, or had begun doing it before. But seeing classic Nintendo games that we wouldn't have seen before since
Ah,
seeing Super Mario again. I mean, as much as I don't care for Mario, it was pretty cool to still see the original Nintendo games on there.
mm,
The first Legend of Zelda on the Wii, downloadable. You can just download it, and within minutes you would already have it. And
yep.
I remember my mom was like, "Wait, it has more games." I'm like, "You can just download them. You pay whatever it is, like $5, and you get these games." And I remember her asking me, "Do they have the original Mario's?" I'm like, and I showed her. I'm like, "Yeah, this one." She goes, "No, no, 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 the original Mario Brothers, the arcade
Ooh.
one." And I looked. I'm like,
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
"Yeah, they have it here. It's like $5." And she goes, "I'll buy it." I'm like, "Oh, for
Yes.
reals?" And for me, I'm like, I didn't care. It was just more games on my system. I was like, all right, cool. And she fell in love with the Wii with that,
Yeah.
and she loved the controller because it was very close to what she grew up with,
Mhm.
playing with the NES. And I remember those that night just like completely amazed that my mom would right there buy a game when before I would have to wait and be like at Target like, oh, can you buy me this $40 game? But here she was, oh, $5, yeah, I'll buy it for $5. It was like one of those, you guys got the correct pricing. It was downloadable, so ease of access, quick.
Right.
It was like the opening to what we have today, and
Mhm.
that's I think where we're gonna go with today is that generation was for how choppy it may have been and stuff like that. It introduced a lot of stuff that we see today were ease of access, and Nintendo did that with the Virtual Console and had a great library. And I
Yes.
remember continuously like, oh, what are they adding this week? Oh, they're adding the N64 titles.
Mhm.
It was really cool to see continuous growth in that library. Um,
This was the generation that introduced that the process of downloading old games or downloadable content. Period. This was a generation not only just for this one, but the rest of the games in this is the seventh generation of consoles. For the Wii Virtual Console, the Xbox Live Arcade, and the PSN. Oh my goodness, the floodgates were open when they released this. This was so much classic games was came out. Um, Nintendo, of course, they have like the king of like a lot of classic games. I even loved playing like Contra 3 again
mhm.
on the SNES version, um, and a lot of the N64 games that came out. Um, but jumping into the arcade, that's actually a reason why I really loved my 360. The 360 was the one I owned during that generation. I didn't have a Wii or a PS3,
Mhm.
but the Xbox 360 was my console of choice for that generation. And the Xbox Live Arcade, oh my God, it introduced me to so many classic games again. I remember beating Perfect Dark again, and it was running so smooth and amazing. Not Nintendo 64 standard anymore. The Nintendo 64 one was great, but
Mhm.
Nintendo 64 had notorious slowdown on certain parts and when certain things are just going haywire, when it's too many enemies, too many things going on. It always did that.
Ahead of its time.
Ahead,
That game.
they were trying really hard, and I applaud them for that. That still takes courage to do it, to make it as best as possible. So that's why like I'm not giving it as a knock. Like it's just criticism is always criticism. It's always gonna happen, but it's never a knock. I don't give knocks for being bold and innovative and trying. Um, but the 360 version was, oh my God, I was so in love with completing that thing, everything on Perfect Agent again, and and it introduced me to so many of the indie titles again, like Braid.
Right.
And Braid was amazing. Indie titles also got a huge boost because of all this, because now developers can develop something. And I mean, I've never developed a game, so I don't know the whole process of how you need to upload it into the store or what you have to do. But what you create, and if it's just you could just upload it here, and you don't have to go through the big gigantic developers to make it happen, and things like Minecraft and other games like that were able to become created because of that. Um, and then also so many classic fighting games. Because remember, um, I play a lot of fighting games in my lifetime, and when all the retro ones were coming out on the Xbox Live Arcade, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 with online functionality where I can try to replicate the arcade. Oh my God. And the netcode was great. Like the action was going smooth. And Mortal Kombat 1 through 2 was also there. Classic Street Fighter. I got to play Third Strike again with online compatibility. Like, oh my God. 360 was my not only current console, but my retro console of choice. And this is how I actually played Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the first time
Oh, through the arcade. Through the.
through Xbox Live Arcade. It was sold cheaper. I never owned a PS1, but I played it from there, and I completed through there over and over and over again, many a time.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you were gonna say, something?
Oh, I was just gonna
Okay.
go ahead with that too. Following with the 360. The 360 was. I mentioned that I had bought the Wii first, but the 360 was the first one that I was like, that's a next gen console. That's where the
Mhm.
graphics are gonna be for this gen, and
It's the
Um,
first one that came. It's the first one that came out, right? Of the
yeah,
whole generation,
two,
like '05.
2005. Yeah, while Wii
Mm.
and PS3 came out 2006,
Mm.
and the 360 just blew me away with how it was. The controller was so good. It was a huge departure from the original Duke controller, but the 360 controller
Yep.
was like that's what a modern controller should be.
Yep.
And yeah, the games, just to follow up with the indies. I remember Super Meat Boy. I love Super Meat
Yes.
Boy. Uh,
Oh, so good. That's so good. I'm just saying, good platformer, amazing platformer.
Amazing platformer. I remember some other ones like Dead by Daylight. Not Dead by Daylight. I forgot what it was. But it was like a 2D side scroller, and it was story based and kind of like the apocalypse. I'm trying to
Oh, I never
remember.
played it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name, but it's like Deadlight or something like that. Um,
Okay.
really cool game. But I remember Super Meat Boy being the first indie game that I was trying out. That I was like, whoa, this is really cool. This is a really cool game. And then of course we had Minecraft, and I remember one summer just me and my friends, and we were just playing Minecraft. We had like our own thing going, and there was people that were farmers. They would farm and take care of the crops and the animals, while we, uh, I and other people went for like diamond and in search of just searching where to go. And I remember
Mhm.
building my house underneath water, and you can have I made the walls made out of glass, and people were like, "Whoa, how did you do that?" And it was cool because my house looked like it was just a dome, and it was underneath
Nice.
water, and then on the top there was a lava tower. And man, it was like super creative. I didn't think I would be that creative, but I think I still have that
Nice.
server or file. I don't know, but the 360 was amazing, for
You're like my nephew.
everything.
Yeah, you're like my nephew. He had the huge houses and everything, like on Minecraft. He liked Minecraft a lot. Like
I
he liked like the clothing and stuff. He was huge into that.
I loved it, man. I loved Minecraft, and it was the closest thing again to bringing back that connectivity of LAN parties. But everybody was on their own 360s and home with headsets, and we were all talking like, "Hey, we're gonna go
You,
raid this area. Remember we saw it last night, and we think there's diamond there."
Minecraft
Um,
was the ultimate like Legos of in the video
yes,
game world. You could just build anything you wanted, and you could play the survival mode or the creative mode. I saw a lot of people just play the creative mode more than the survivor mode because they just wanted to make the huge houses and yeah, I remember like caves
yeah.
and like tunnel systems that looked great. I was like, wow,
I, I
that's legit.
I remember working at a GameStop, and I would sell it that way. I would tell the parents would be like, "What's Minecraft?" I'm like, "Think of Legos, but without stepping on one of them in the middle of the night."
There
And
you
they would be like,
go.
"Oh." I'm like, "Yeah, you basically create stuff, and you can play with other people online or locally, and
Yeah.
you can create towers, you can create buildings. It's huge imagination. That's how I sold it. Basically, Legos without stepping on them in the middle of the night and yelling, ah. But
What?
it was a great experience. The 360, just
Yeah.
the games were on top. The Gears of War, one of the best
Ooh,
new IPs.
one through Judgment because I think Judgment came out on the 360 as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
one through Judgment. That's the fourth one, but the fourth one they released, but but one through three was amazing. With two being the Magnum, the top one.
I feel like that too. I feel that
Two.
the second was my favorite. The it had Gears of War. It had the finishing of Halo from Bungie with Reach and Halo 3.
Yep.
Um, Other
Oh my
ones,
God, Halo 4, and then Halo 4. Not bad, not a good effort from 343 at that time.
a good send off.
A good send off with that. All the original three Modern Warfares were on the 360 era too, which I loved. That was I bought all three of them every time that they came out.
Yeah, those Left
Yeah,
4 Dead, Left 4
Left 4
Dead 1 and
Dead.
2, Fable, the Fable series that continued that
Hmm.
with my favorite Fable 2. Not so much on Fable 3, but it's still a Fable game which I loved, and
Grand Grand Theft Auto 5 originally came out on this console. and that's how I remember it the most. It's still being played today because they keep re-releasing it. But Grand Theft Auto 5 was one that I spent hours on in that time.
Yeah, it was just an amazing console. Everything. I mean, the only negatives were the Red Ring of Death, of course. That was early
Oh,
on, but after that, man,
after that was good.
the games just kept coming to the console. I know BioShock, one of the greatest games, it released first on Xbox
Yep.
360.
Yep. Yep.
Mass Effect also released first on the Xbox
Mhm.
360, which was a
And
Microsoft published title, and they let that go to EA, but that was on there. What were you
they
gonna
just
say?
did it. No, I was gonna say the orange box from Valve was amazing, and the game that came out of that what was the most popular, Portal.
Another puzzle
Portal.
game.
That's a shooter, but not a violent shooter. It is a puzzle shooter.
That's a great game to introduce someone who's not into shooters, like first person. Like here, handle Portal, because Portal is not really a shooter. It's just in the form of one, but it's more of a puzzle. So if you can get down the controls on Portal, you can play another first person shooter, which was
And,
really
and,
good.
and another popular one at that time for my 360 was Rock Band.
Yeah, I think everybody loved
Oh
Rock Band or
man,
Guitar Hero. Those
Rock Band
two
or Guitar Hero.
those two were so huge at the time, and yeah, the 360 just was a blast. That's I've talked about it on social media, but that the 360 was a pinnacle for me for Xbox in terms of just
Hmm.
hitting everything. They hit it with the indies,
Hmm.
they hit it with online connectivity and servers. Like I said, I never
Yep.
was gonna get Xbox Live. I didn't think, why should I be paying for Xbox Live, and I ended up paying for it, and I was kind of hesitant at first, but I was like, man, the this is actually pretty good. This is actually pretty cool. Like the connectivity and the the chat rooms with my friends, that they could be playing Call of Duty and I'm playing Left 4 Dead, and we're just talking it up, and it was just an amazing experience
The
with that.
Xbox party system was sweet.
Yeah,
The Xbox itself, the party system that they did with Live was like top notch, and you were paying for a premium online service. So call it what you may, if you did like paying for online or didn't, they made it worth to be played, like to pay online. And then of course you're gonna have some of the other, like some of the PC people go like, "Oh my God, but it's free on PC," and all this stuff. Like that's what they're always gonna say. But you know what? For console generations, the 360, Xbox Live in general just worked all over.
yeah, yeah. So amazing console. They introduced achievements, which Sony eventually copied with trophies, but achievements, like every game had an achievement, and it was all
Yep.
about the gamer score. It was all about, like, oh, what do you have? Oh, I'm at 20,000 now, or I'm
Yeah.
at 50,000, and
And
I got.
it brought games to like a whole new like level.
Yeah, and as much as a lot of people don't care for them, I care for them to a certain extent. For like the games that I really love, I'm like, you know what? I'm three achievements away. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get that. I'm gonna get the hundred
Yeah.
percent. So it's kind of like a bragging right. Like, oh, I got 100%. That's how much I love this game. That's how much I completed the game, and it was surreal. It was so good for a different play style, instead of just playing the game and, oh, I'm playing. It's an extra added layer for those who care about it. Oh,
The extra oomph to make it like even 10 times better.
yeah, like imagine playing a game and you get all the achievements but one, and that one achievement is to defeat it in nightmare mode. And you're
Go
like,
for it.
you know what? I'm gonna go for that nightmare mode. I'm gonna go for that Doom nightmare mode, and I'll have the
Ah, I
bragging
saw
rights.
what you did there with your nightmare mode. Uh-huh. All right. I see you. I see you. I love the gesture though. I love it. I'm good
Uh,
with that.
yeah,
I'll take it.
it just added that the Xbox 360 added everything that you can ask for on a gaming platform, and multiplied it by two. A gaming, oh, you're into competitiveness, well, there's online mode, which
Yep.
with the Xbox Live,
Yep.
Oh, you're into completing the games. Well, we added an achievement system so that you can feel that 100% achievement that you did do everything. You did find all
Yep.
those items and secret chests and
Mhm.
killed, 1,000 enemies, whatever it is. They added so much to the console that they got
Mhm.
pretty much everything but the console, hardware error.
Ouch. That was a
That
big one too.
that's
That
the
was a really
only
big
that's the
one.
only
Yeah.
big thing that I can think of. That
Red ring of death.
Yeah, which I mean they fixed eventually with
Yeah.
the what was it, the slim model as well as the
Mhm.
E model that was even way later, but they fixed it, and that's the only thing I can see for the 360 that was a little in blemish in the console and the platform. But everything else, Indy, you guys did
Mhm.
correct.
Yep.
Pricing, you guys did correct.
Yep.
Uh, um, Even the external hard drives, it was all proprietary for like
Mhm.
that extra internal hard drive. But even then, it was so good. Graphics at the time, just everything was solid with the 360.
It was, and you're right. Just that one little blemish of that one little blemish. Well, it was kind of a big blemish because
Yeah.
it was a big blemish because it did cost Microsoft a lot of money to fix
It
the
was a
console
billion
for
dollar
people.
blemish, but
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, besides that billion, we're gonna we're gonna call mistakes that from now on the $1 billion blemish. Like that $1 billion blemish there. Besides that, it would have been a beautiful, perfect console with everything that happened. With everything else that it did. If it didn't have that blemish, oh my goodness, it might be one of my favorite. Besides the N64 that I said before,
mm,
it might be another one of my most favorite consoles ever to collect and to have for. Um, the only other blemish I can see, tiny. This is preference. I really wish that Microsoft chose Blu-ray instead of HD DVD because
yeah,
this is the battle when some might be too young to know what HD DVD is because that's what that they
those red
HD.
cases.
I don't. The rare cases like HD DVD is the because there was another video wars back then with movies and other videos. It was Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Those were the two going at it. So they were doing their decisions there about which ones to use, and they chose to do HD DVD, and they did it with a separate drive too, which I felt was also not a great idea.
Hmm.
Um, but that's the one that they chose, and they didn't choose Blu-ray, which of course hindsight's 2020. We didn't know it was going to be the one picked, whatever. But in the future, Blu-ray becomes the dominant form for HD DVD content or HD content, and the one that selected Blu-ray as their content is the final console we're going to be discussing during this era, which is the almighty PS3.
That's true. PS3 won that.
Spider-Man edition because it had the Spider-Man looking logo in the beginning.
Yeah, Spider-Man logo that costed us
Yeah.
$600. Uh, it was the console that did win the format wars between HDD, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. They picked
Um,
Blu-ray, which was the right choice.
yeah, but they
Right
went
choice
with
for them,
other
but they
people.
picked it.
That's why they it was like multiple companies doing Blu-ray, and so yeah, that was gonna be a losing war with Microsoft. Um, PS3, I picked. That was my last console I picked up. I didn't want to pick it up for a lot of reasons. One, it was so huge. It looked
Yeah, that thing was a tank.
that thing was a grill. It looked like a George Foreman grill. Uh, it was huge. The
It's a
game
grill.
the games weren't there from what I saw as and at the time. I think I've said this before. I was barely coming back into gaming. The 360 was me coming back into gaming, and I didn't see the games yet. I was like, you know what? All I see is Metal Gear Solid 4, and as much as I love
Yeah.
Metal Gear, I could still wait. I'll wait to get a PS3. The games weren't there. The controller was weird that it didn't have rumble, because they said that that was last gen. They said something about it wasn't good. It's we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the future. So it was weird, and it had
Mm.
like this fake, six axis. We want to try to replicate the Wii motion gaming. It was just weird.
Yep.
It was clunky. It was a mess, and I didn't pick it up until they fixed the stuff and they brought in a slim model, for $300. That's the one I got. And I still
Okay.
have it to this day. It's the only PS3. I usually buy multiple consoles,
Mm.
just for the revisions and collector's editions and stuff like that. But I still have my OG PS3,
Hmm.
slim model. The only thing I did was upgrade the internal hard drive to a 500 gigabyte, and but it ended up being great. It was one of those consoles that it didn't start out very well. It had
Yeah.
a lot of hiccups, and then even
The
when they
initial
were,
the initial price point kicked its butt.
yeah, it was like $400 and 500. I think it was $500,
Hmm.
um, and it just it wasn't there. It wasn't there for me. It wasn't there for a lot of people. The games were difficult to develop for third parties, and they were a majority of the time had the worst ports. They didn't have the best
Yeah.
running ports at all, and but eventually they were picking up steam, and when they picked up steam, they dropped again with that famous PlayStation hack of 2011, and they were
Oh,
struggling, and
that's
even
a lot of data. That's a lot
yeah.
of data. Those released at that time. Poor Sony. They were doing PR like nobody's business.
But the positives, there were positives. Free online gaming. You didn't have to pay for
Yes.
online gaming, which whatever the
Hmm.
service was, at least it was there. I
Yeah.
didn't have that much trouble with playing online. So free online gaming.
Mhm.
They actually also had this kind of thing that, I mean, you weren't supposed to do, but it had like a game sharing feature with up to five other accounts.
Oh, I
Uh,
didn't know that.
they had, I mean, Blu-ray, huge Blu-ray
Yeah.
player. That's what
Yep.
I used as my Blu-ray player.
Yep.
um, and they were just slow at the start, but they did start coming in better. What they did also have over Microsoft, I feel, is that they had more unique titles. They had more games coming out that were sometimes experimental, but they were coming from them. I mean, that was the last time we got Twisted Metal. Uh,
Oh man, that was the last time we got Twisted Metal. I missed that series. Black is still my favorite one. Twisted Metal Black is,
yeah.
but that's a PS2 title. But I'm saying like, that was my favorite one.
Then they came out again with the continuation of God of War, with God of War
God of War
3.
3.
Uh,
Oh, we said it at the same time. God of War 3. That's that's the to me that's my favorite one.
it does have
God of War 3.
the PS3 does have my favorite game of that generation though, beating out Reach, which is The Last of Us. That came out at
Oh,
the
there you go.
tail end, and that was the perfect way to send off the console with The Last of Us. But
The Uncharted series also started
uh,
on the PS3.
yeah, Uncharted series started on the PS3.
Infamous was also on there, um, and then some of the other ones that we mentioned already. Infamous series again. Heavy Rain, I believe, came out on that one, but it wasn't exclusive, right? That one came out
No,
on
it's
the other ones too.
exclusive.
Oh, it was exclusive. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. So yes, so Heavy Rain was on that one only,
There was
on the
one
PS3.
that started an entire genre that now people refer to, that specific game. I don't know if you know this title, but Demon Souls. Demon Souls came out on the
Oh,
PS3, and it
the
started literally
original.
the Souls genre, moving forward after Dark Souls released.
Now,
Um,
because you know how everyone says Dark Souls is like how they define like a hard game. They're all like, oh, it's as hard as Dark Souls. So, did Demon Souls have as much infamy as Dark Souls, or was Demon Souls easier, but then Dark Souls is what made
Demon
it really
Souls
hard?
Demon Souls was the niche title that it was the first title.
Hmm.
Why a lot of people, I think, refer to more of Dark Souls is because it was a multi-platform game, so more people were able to play it.
Oh,
Demon
okay,
Souls was locked down to PS3, as opposed to Dark Souls was on
got it.
PC, PS3, and 360. So
Ooh,
I think
okay.
that's the only reason why it became more accessible to more people. Um,
And if people are trying to get one, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe certain PS3s, the backwards compatibility of PS3s was amazing back then. You could play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games. That was huge. That was a big deal. And you have to get, I believe, you have to get a certain PS3 because I think after the years afterwards, they released a PS3 that can't do that. Am I right, or
Yeah,
is
it
that
was
wrong?
basically like the launch PS3s, or from what I think from, I mean, you guys can correct us, but from what I remember, how you can identify one is if it has like a chrome, the chrome bar, like the that chrome
Ah,
strip on the PS3. That's how
yeah.
you can tell if it's a backwards compatible one. But yeah, it was the
Wow.
last time Sony really did backwards compatibility. Was the PS3?
Yeah.
You had three generations under one system,
Console. Yeah.
and they lost that. Uh, so I mean, they did a lot. I think I feel like the PS3 was Sony's biggest misstep. As much as I love the system still, um, they just handled it very weird, and the controller wasn't good for first person shooters. It was,
Mm,
instead of the triggers, you did the bumpers on shooting. So you aimed with R1 and shot, and you were shooting with R2, or L1 was aiming and R1 was to shoot, as opposed to the
mhm.
actual trigger buttons. Trigger buttons were worse for watching Netflix if you're like on the couch, or in the bed, and you just plopped your controller down. The triggers would already start going down, and it would start fast forwarding, your content. But for a lot of the missteps, and I think a lot of the missteps were just because you can see the comparison between the 360, and you're like, the 360 just does it way better.
Yep.
Controllers, 360 is better. Online connectivity,
On
360 does it
360 is
better.
better.
Indie support, 360.
Yep.
The ports from third parties, 360 had the better
360.
ports. It just did
Yep.
everything a lot better. In terms of, oh, you want to upgrade your hard drive? Well, you have to tear this part apart. Unscrew it, take out the drive, put the new drive in, put it back together. You got to update the drive with a USB, and which you can get the file from online, PlayStation. It was just a hassle, as
Every
opposed to,
time.
oh, I want to upgrade my hard drive. Okay, buy the hard drive, unclip it, clip it back in, and that's it. Like, it was quick. Do it in less than
Yeah.
2 minutes. So, just a lot of missteps with that. I know that they learned going into the PS4 era, which we can see that.
Yep.
Um,
Dude,
you
they
know,
fixed they did a ton of fixtures on the I feel like they did it. We'll save that additional quips and talks about for the following whenever that episode comes out. But yeah, I feel like a flip flop happened when those
yeah.
happened. Like then PlayStation learned from them, and then Xbox tried to go really new with things in the 2010 era, and it flipped them to more of a negative side. So I agree. 360 was the king at that time. Almost everyone that I knew had it was either the a Wii, and then it would be the 360 or PS3. But I had more people with 360s. 360s was like the champ at that time.
I had all three, and I can confidently say that that gen belonged to the 360 predominantly. Even though eventually the PS3 outsold the 360 by a couple thousands. Um, it was the 360 was the true king of that console space. So
Yep. It outsold it because the Blu-ray drive. I'm gonna say it. It's the Blu-ray
yeah,
drive.
it was almost
Most
a
likely.
PS2 thing all over again. Just that
Yep.
media hub.
Ah, so good. And I like the menu service too. Better on that.
And you hear that? That's the boss pick of the week. Boss laugh. This week it goes to Jebby G. Jesse, what's your boss pick for this week?
Ooh, okay. So, you know what? We always keep talking about Metal Gear all the time.
Metal Gear,
And
huh?
Metal Gear. And we just talked about PS3 right now, but I'm gonna go back to the PS1 and I'm going to talk about my favorite Metal Gear of all time, Metal Gear Rex. For anyone who's played Metal Gear Solid 1, piloted by the very loud, talkative, and thinking in his head powerful, and he feels himself to be the inferior twin to Solid Snake, Liquid Snake. You cannot get over Liquid Snake's super hammy performance of everything. I love Liquid Snake. I love how he is as a character and what he brings to the table. But my boss battle is when he is piloting Metal Gear Rex. That's my favorite mech from all time in regards to the Metal Gear saga. That thing is huge. You are taking it on as a single man. Solid Snake. What do you got? Rifles. You got stinger missiles. You got chaff grenades. You got other grenades.
You got bandana.
You got bandana. You got infinite ammo. You got bandana. You got infinite ammo. You got everything. But for everyone who remembers, this is the first time I felt you're taking on this gigantic mech as a single human being. And my God, was that an entertaining as hell battle. Now, of course, it's funny, because obviously, if you get shot by one of his 3 grenades that he fires, whenever he thinks, yeah, you should probably be dead immediately. Like, you should explode. But of course, video game! Video game logic. But it was still a battle that at first you can't even damage him in the beginning. You have to damage the satellite radar on top of it because he's inside the mouth of Metal Gear. So everything that's going on with the storyline, this doesn't count. This game is really old, right? This doesn't count as spoiler territory, does it? Does it matter if I talk about this game in the story wise or anything?
I mean, I think we're pretty good. I mean, this game is about 23 years old.
Okay, good. So.
And a spoiler warning in case you guys don't want to hear this.
Yeah, okay. Spoiler warning right at this second if you haven't played Metal Gear 1, but I'm pretty sure you watched a review episode of it or you watched something about it. So in the very ending as you're going through everything, you're talking with Liquid and everything's getting revealed about the Pentagon, about being backstab and Master Miller and all the things that were going on, and even just watching the storyline go on itself, which is what makes Metal Gear, that was going on even right before the battle. And then as you're battling, again, you take out the satellite, Gray Fox comes in and saves the day. He saves your life because your efforts were in vain at the time, and there's more story elements involved there. And then there's some crushing issue with him, and like, sorry, gigantic mech beats ninja every day. It does. I'm sorry.
I love that scene. I was like, no.
And then and one of the most interesting parts of that scene was when he's up in the top, and Metal Gear Rex is about to finish him off right there, and you're right there with your missile launcher, and he keeps saying that you can't do it. Remember, you keep trying to hit the fire button. It's like, no, I can't do it. No, like I can't. That was a moment that the game locked me out of firing. Like I can't fire at him. Like it won't let me. But the ominous, gigantic, dinosaur-looking mech is something that I'm going to remember from Metal Gear Solid forever. If you haven't played it, or look up Metal Gear Rex, it was the basis for. I know the original Metal Gears. If you played the ones before that, Metal Gear Solid was my first foray into the Metal Gear series. And of course, I thought Metal Gear was always 3D, but obviously it wasn't when you figure out about Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. But Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear Rex, the bipedal mech that started it all. I'm gonna say started it all because it started it all in the 3D world. It kind of gave the basis for everything else, because after that, Metal Gear Ray and Arsenal Gear and everything comes out later on in the future.
Yeah.
But Metal Gear Rex, just for his big, imposing features, and I'm a very big sucker for gigantic dinosaur-looking items anyways. I mean, that's probably why I love the Turok series too, because there's other bosses I'll talk about in Turok as well. but for his big imposing, all the weapons that are going through, he's firing at you with the machine guns, the missile, the little grenade launcher he launches at you, and constantly getting berated by Liquid Snake the entire time. That's the reason why I pick Metal Gear Rex as my favorite Metal Gear boss, because it culminated the end of this game in a bang. It finished off this game in a huge send off, and you alone as Solid Snake, and it shows that you can truly achieve anything if you really, really try as best as you can. Even just one man can take out a Metal Gear, which also makes me think, how effective is this Metal Gear if one man can take it out? It just makes you think. I'm just saying. I know it's a
He's
game.
not
It makes
just
you
a
think.
man.
He's Solid Snake. He's the clone. He's the perfect clone of Big Boss. But it's just interesting, a guy taking down a Metal Gear. But it just makes you feel big. It makes you feel
Yeah.
amazing. It makes you feel like a boss. Dun dun dun.
Bum, bum,
If you
bum.
want to say,
Boss versus
like,
boss.
like all of you people who listen to our podcast, you are all bosses in my opinion. Just saying. Just saying. Everyone listening, you're bosses.
And thank you for joining us, you guys. That's our first week of the recording, our first week of the Boss Key podcast. I believe this is episode 20 as well, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So already 20 episodes, in the history books. And
Jeez, the time goes by quick. Christmas is already here,
Yeah.
and Christmas is coming up. New Year's is coming up. And I remember I just told my aunt today about the Boss Key podcast when I called her earlier this
Oh, nice.
so she'll probably join in and hear about it, and well, we'll see what they do. But my goodness, yeah, episode 20, you are correct. So bada bing, bada boom. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and so we'll see you guys on the next week's episode. Tune in. This should be our Christmas episode for the year, and excited to record that one next. And yeah, have a good safe week leading up to Christmas, and hope you guys get what you're asking from Santa. If not, then go get it.
Go get it. Please, everyone, be careful out there when shopping. It's gonna be a rough. It'll be like a rougher week when shopping, but have fun, stay safe, and yeah, I hope everyone gets what they want, and hope your wishes and everything that you want come true, guys.
All right, later, you guys.
Peace.